Hi guys. So Laurence Fox, someone who I hadn't heard of until recently, was interviewed by talk radio about patriotism, the BBC, and rural Britannia, and he demonstrates a complete lack of understanding on all three. So let's hear what he had to say.
What are the BBC thinking, Laurence? I mean, this truly is now a woke cultural takeover of that institution, isn't it? Trying to do down anything that is British.
I have it on fairly good authority that, with a few notable exceptions, that the BBC isn't actually run by, properly. It's run by the activists.
Okay, first of all, I just want to question, why is this nodding dog, the ones you put in your car that are solar powered and the head goes up and down all the time? Why is this guy a journalist? Why is he on this radio station? Why hasn't he asked Laurence Fox, who are these people? What have they said? Can you quote something that they have said that we can check? Or I'm just going to nod as in yes, whatever you say is true without any check.
We're watching all of the time, and that's a real shame. I was watching their Twitter thing yesterday, and they were saying this is a movement. I said, no, it's not a movement. It's an impartial news channel. Can you give us that? And this just feels like an extension of it, a navel-gazing, British-hating the BBC, who need to be massively defunded.
So he uses the word here, defunded, and it raised a red flag for me, because defunded is a loaded term, and it originated, of course, from the United States, and it's connected with the protests in the United States surrounding police brutality and Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because it would just take too long, but the Black Lives Matter meaning of defund the police is to reform the police. What the right are using is, well, we want to defund the BBC because, why are they doing things that we don't like? The argument for defunding the police in the United States is about reforming the police because there are serious problems with the police in the United States. I'm not going to go into those now. The BBC doesn't have these types of problems.
Completely root and branch re-looked at because they're not representative of the majority of this country at all, and they're extremely patronising, and this wokish takeover is extremely racist. I mean, it doesn't matter what colour or creed or religion or anything you are, you can get behind a great song. I mean, the tune is fab, the words, if you like them, you like them. I think they're fairly trite myself, but it is, as you said before, it's a highlight, and stop trying to erase our history.
Yeah,
It's not history. It's a propaganda song. It's not history. If it was history, it would include things like, well, we used to have slavery in this country. That would be part of the song. We used to have workshops. We used to send children up chimneys. That would be part of the song. So it's not history, it's propaganda. It was a song that was written for propaganda purposes.
Don't take them literally, do we? I mean, one was written in 1902, one was written in 1740. The words are sort of irrelevant. The songs have become great symbols of our patriotism. And actually,
that's not patriotism. A song is not a symbol of patriotism. And these people don't understand what patriotism actually is. Patriotism for me, and maybe I'm wrong here, and if I'm wrong, please point it out in the comments section. For me, patriotism is trying to make your country better, not ignoring the problems of your country. What I mean by that is, am I proud of my nation, Ireland? Am I proud of my nation? No, I'm not. Why? Because we still have child poverty, we have a massive homelessness problem, there's corruption, there are issues surrounding healthcare. So why should I be proud of that? Why should I be proud of homelessness, corruption, food banks appearing? For example, are these people proud that the UK is opening and expanding food banks on a continuous basis? Are they proud of that? I wouldn't be proud of that. So why should we be proud of our nation? We should be proud of individuals' work. I'm proud of the people who work in the food banks. I'm not proud of the fact that food banks exist.
A shared symbolism that we don't get very often these days because institutions seem to be so terrified of actually celebrating being British.
there's an absolute huge hatred of Britishness, Britishness, which is so sad because we're such a wonderfully modern, diverse country, and to bring race into it in the way that they have, to say that Dahlia, who's organising this thing, is a huge fan of Black Lives Matter, is to sort of make some odd assumption that no one else is a big fan of Black Lives Matter. We are all fans of Black Lives, and we're all fans of all lives matter, because all lives do matter. And this is basically just racism under new management. That's all it is.
Do you think the BBC are at risk of signing their own death warrant here, though? Because I think it's decisions like this, Laurence, that are actually going to make a heck of a lot of ordinary folk rise up and say, no, that's one step too far now. You're not getting my licence fee money.
I sincerely hope so. I think the BBC, as they are at the moment, obviously with the notable exceptions and the excellent journalists that do exist, the show not tell, journalists are in a catastrophically London bubble, liberal ridiculousness, and I don't think they represent the people of this country. And I think it's utterly divisive. There's something wonderful about being British. Being British doesn't say that you're black or you're white or you're Asian, British or anything. It's just being British. And if you don't like it, don't be British.
Okay. What a ridiculous statement. So he's explained what not being British is. So being black, being white, being Asian is not being British. So if you don't, and let's just be British, and if you don't like it, well then don't be British. So what is British? He hasn't explained what British is. He's explained what it isn't, and he's explained that if you don't like what it isn't, or I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to explain here.
Is my view.
They are terrified by, I would call them, fringe lobby groups who now seem to have an outsized voice in the media. But we are going to be joined by Dr. Kehinde Andrews after the news. He's the Professor of Black Studies at Birmingham City University, who says that these songs amount to racist propaganda.
They are propaganda. Now, we can argue whether they're racist propaganda, but they were propaganda. They were propaganda back in 1740 and at the beginning of the 1900s. They were propaganda. They're still used as propaganda today. Brexiteers use them as propaganda. People on the right use them as propaganda. Let's call a spade here. They were propaganda and they still are propaganda. Why are you arguing about a fact? What do you think they were about back in the 1700s and the early 1900s? They were about promoting the empire. We are the greatest nation. We will not be a slave to anyone. We will strike at the foreigner. This is what the songs are about. They're not about, well, we had some problems and we try to overcome our negatives and we have a balance. No, it's about promoting the nation as the greatest in the world. Convincing the poor that, you may be poor, but at least you're part of the greatest nation in the world. Maybe you'll still be dying of hunger, but at least you're part of the greatest nation in the world.
What would be your response to him there?
I'd say that anybody that studies black studies is a racist. That's what I'd say. I'd say anybody that puts the word black before anything is a racist. I'd say anybody that uses race as any form of description about anything is a racist. And I think that we have a wonderful cultural heritage, some of which is very problematic and difficult. But if we're going to sit there and talk about racism, then let's go and take down Tupac's albums or Biggie Smalls' albums.
Now, this is just so it's ridiculous beyond the extreme. So Laurence Fox is comparing Tupac with the British Empire. So Tupac, I would love to, I haven't the Wikipedia page open for Tupac, but I'd like to know which countries he invaded, which natural resources he took from those countries. How many people did Tupac enslave during his lifetime? Did he have a navy? Did he conquer places? Did he fight battle wars? Did he have a nation? How can you compare a rapper with a nation, an empire? Actually, not a nation, an empire. How ridiculous are these people?
or even a lot of modern hip hop, and let's remove the N-word from all of those, because I find those racist as well. But you know what? I'm culturally sensitive and able to understand that these things are about expressing something else. And these songs are about a shared national unity. And the BBC hate.
They're not about shared national unity. They're about propaganda.
The nation, and they hate everything about it. And I, as a result, feel that I hate them, because I'm so proud of this country. And my grandfather got a military cross, and the back of his neck completely shredded fighting the Germans, so that these Kiendes and people like that can sit there and tap into their iPhones at how racist we all are. And he didn't care what colour you were, and neither does anybody else. So we need to get rid of it. It's a pervasive, nasty attitude towards our society, which is very progressive, actually.
Well, we've seen it time and time again, haven't we? And they never learn their lesson. They don't learn their lesson from the Brexit referendum. They don't learn their lesson from completely missing the fact that Boris Johnson was going to take down the Red Wall at the last election. And they won't learn their lesson here from polls that overwhelmingly show Brits are in favour of these songs. And the thing that just makes me so sad, Laurence, is, I mean, I've been to the proms once before. I took my mum from New Zealand. So we are dual citizens, both of us, but we grew up in New Zealand. My mum moved there when she was 2 years old. But there was actually something really special about being in a room full of Brits from all around the world, of all different ethnicities, singing that song together. And actually, it makes me really sad that there should be any embarrassment about that, because in America, that type of patriotism has always been celebrated.
That's not patriotism. Standing up in front of a flag, a piece of fabric, or singing a song is not patriotism. Trying to make your country better is patriotism. Trying to eliminate the problems that exist in your country is patriotism, in my eyes. The fact that the UK has more and more food banks, why should you be proud of that? Are you proud of that? I hope you're not. Then how can you be proud of your nation? Be proud of the people who are trying to make the country better. Don't be proud of the nation because it has a flag or has a particular colour on that flag, or because well, in the past we used to rule people. That's nothing to be proud of. This, unfortunately, and he brought up a very important word here during this, he talked about Brexit. Brexit is all about turning back the clock, turning back to the time of the empire. We used to be a great nation, not great in the sense that we cared about people, we cared about the people at the bottom of the rung of the ladder. No, we were able to go where we wanted, take what we wanted. We were able to defeat anyone who stood in our way. That, in their eyes, is a great nation, not one that actually cares about its citizens. And once again, Brexit is about turning back the clock to that, because the European Union demonstrates in a way to Brexiteers that the empire is over, it's gone, and it's not coming back. And they live inside this bubble that convinces them, well, if we can still hold on to the flag, if we can still hold on to these songs, we can keep the fire of the empire alive. And reality is moving on. Why should people whose ancestors were oppressed by the empire and who are living in the UK today and paying taxes, for example, to the BBC, why should they have to tolerate these types of songs? It's a song. It's not going to improve your life, or it's not going to make your life worse. But the BBC understand that society has moved on. The empire is gone. No one's stopping you. Once again, this is not about freedom of expression. No one is stopping you from singing these songs. But these songs are a bit like the statues. They have a context. But the context today has changed. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. So I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. Each and every one of you ensure that this channel continues to exist. So I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you become a patron, you will get instant access to our Discord server, where we have chats, both audio and video. you can chat with me and other Patreons where we discuss important and non-important things. Becoming a Patreon per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so check it out.